Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great honor to be invited by LITEON as a moderator today. But maybe you didn't know, yesterday, after 2 hours presentation of Jensen Huang, I had 1 hour personal dialogue with Jensen. And within 1 hour, he spoke a lot of things about energy and the power. This surprised me. And I asked him as well many things about the Taiwan supply chain. As you know, today we have more than 1,000 listed electronic companies. And the companies created more than 1.2 trillion US dollars revenue last year. And about 90% of the high-tech companies headquartered located in Hsinchu and the Taipei area. Population density was our shortcomings, but today become the most important efficiency of Taiwan today. So we have many visitors for the COMPUTEX. You know, I've been to many exhibitions before, but I always heard people comment, nothing new. But you can believe this year in the COMPUTEX Taipei, we have a lot of things and new things. So we want to discuss with you and listen to your opinion, especially from perspectives of Asian ICT supply chain. So thank you for your joining us. I know you are all very important guests of Taiwan. So let's focus on power and energy especially. So I have 4 questions, but I expect everyone speak 2 minutes comments on the main topics, because I need to leave after.
That's right. You have a flight.
Anson, please, next time, don't invite me like this way.
Okay, I'm going to try another way. Anyway, you accept.
I need to go New York tonight, so 16 hours flight. So forgive me next time. Okay, thank you. So Jensen, he mentioned about 5-layer cake about AI. And yesterday, I chatted with him about 5-layer cake from perspective of Asia Pacific. You know, the big 4 companies, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, last year revenue was $430 billion. But this year, their capex predicted 725 billion.
Yes.
Even 68% bigger than revenue last year.
Right.
And NVIDIA, as I know,
Yes.
like 3 years ago, first quarter 2023, your company's revenue was 7.19 billion. And last quarter, 81.6 billion. Am I right? 11.3 times than 3 years ago.
Yes.
So you need stable supply chain. And Taiwan become the key player to support NVIDIA. So please, Dion, you do first.
Absolutely.
And you comment. I know your boss say it doesn't matter how many you can produce for. We need everyone
That's right.
to participate.
That's
So
right.
please comment on that kind of thing.
That's all right. So again, for those who may or may not have heard the 5-layer cake analogy, it's essentially first it's energy. So again, we talked about really that being at the heart of being able to unlock all these incredible AI use cases. First, you need energy, right? And so you need energy both generated and connected at the grid, but also behind the grid. I think it's been really interesting as I've been walking and talking with some LITEON folks, looking at all the new technologies and new operations that they're looking to build with natural gas and with hydrogen and with other energy sources behind the grid that are going to actually power this next wave of AI factories. And of course you need chips, number 2. And there's no way we can build and develop and deploy these chips that we're designing without the help of this ecosystem. You know, whether it's TSMC, whether it's partners that we literally have to design, MediaTek, others that we have to basically not just design, but actually develop and build and create these chips. It's really with the help of this ecosystem. Then, of course, the infrastructure. We're here with LITEON, and in order to stand up these AI factories, you need to power them, you need to cool them, you need to make sure that they can remain operational and reliable as you want to monetize those AI factories. And so the infrastructure that surrounds the chips and the energy are equally important. In other words, we can't build and deliver the power density that's required to deliver the best, token cost and the best performance per watt without having the proper cooling, the proper power densities, and all the different mechanisms required to deliver that. And then, of course, we talk about models and applications, but without those first three layers, none of the other pieces are possible. And so we fully recognize that. I think when Jensen sort of coined that 5-layer cake analogy, it was with the understanding and the importance of those first three layers. And I think the fact that we're here and celebrating the ecosystem and working with obviously partners like LITEON to help deliver the infrastructure, to make sure those chips can then power AI, and then of course to establish the energy that's going to be required to make the promise of AI a reality.
Good comment. Thank you. And Sergio, I'm into your company twice last year. And you guys introduced me a lot of things about power solutions. You are the great company about that kind of solution. But I'd like to know your perspective, but not only in Finland, but also Europe, Germany, especially EV-related solutions. If we can understand more things about that, I will appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for introducing the 5 layers. Great analogy. I love it. And I would say, if I have to look back in the last years, today the 5 layers create equivalent value to AI. If we look back 2 or 3 years ago, the energy layer was a little bit understated. Energy was a kind of a necessary evil. Energy was there, was enough, and there was not that much focus on energy. Now energy has become more and more relevant, and especially in Germany and Europe, in the Western world, where energy is a good that is not that much available. So having enough energy on one hand is a major topic, but even more, using the available energy in the best possible manner, in the most efficient manner, is a major topic. That's where companies like LITEON, like Infineon, like all of us in the ecosystem, try to make a lot of steps forward to make sure that we use the right technologies in order, the right architectures, in order to use energy in the best possible manner.
Thank you. Do you know how much the power consumed by data center now?
Well, I would guess today is in the order of magnitude of tens of gigawatt, double-digit gigawatt, and we see that it will rapidly get into triple-digit number of gigawatt. And just to give one to size it, if I'm not mistaken, Taipei City in summertime consumes something like 5 or 6 gigawatt of power. Taiwan Power Company delivers 40 gigawatt of power. So if you compare 5 gigawatt consumed by Taipei City with triple-digit gigawatt consumed by the AI data center, you understand the order of magnitude, not only of the energy we need to provide, but how much energy we need also to save to be more efficient. Because just saving 2 or 3 percentage points of energy means saving the energy used by Taipei City in summertime.
Yes, as I know, Taiwan used 30 gigawatt.
30.
Yes.
Thank you.
And on a global basis, data centers, they consume 1,000 gigawatts, about. So 30 times of Taiwan. Then we need to try to save all of the energy, power we can do. That is critical for everyone. Second, actually yesterday, as I mentioned, I have 1 hour chat with Jensen, and he said not only data center power consumption, but also it's about, especially for Taiwan, smart manufacturing. He even say low birth rate is not a challenge for Taiwan because we don't need more people to work for the factory. Yeah, we can have the smart manufacturing. We can have more if we miss the opportunities. And the big challenge for Taiwan. So he asked me to emphasize again and again, and talk to Prime Minister, talk to presidents. We need to change our policies, something like that. So I arranged a TV station last night. I show off 1 hour last night to introduce what I talked to Jensen Huang. Okay, Leo, your turn. What's your opinion about the comment from 2 gentlemen?
I would say, of course, power always comes from the first constraint of all the data center infrastructure. And in our perspective, the hardware manufacturer, the data center solution provider, actually we see the question is not how we get a steady and scalable power source, but also how we're going to allocate it in a very precise way into all the industry, says the smart city, says the manufacturing things. Because nowadays, we already know they consume power, but somehow the performance per watt should be prioritized and allocated into a decent purpose, decent object. But who is going to define what decent is? And who is going to do all the peripheral things to make sure it goes in a very effective and efficient way that we can utilize for it? So I would think that is the next topic that we're going to discuss on.
Okay, I suppose most of us listened the speech of Jensen yesterday, 2 hours. He emphasized again and again, NVIDIA is a company, full stack, AI infrastructure company. What means for full stack? And they very complicated. Dion, can you comment on that?
Well, yeah, and I think if you've watched the keynote, there was one slide that he had up there that was describing our DSX ecosystem. And the importance of that is a couple of things. One is just understanding the dependency. We talk about the 5-layer cake, but understanding the dependency of the upward side of the supply chain and the downside of the supply chain. And so recognizing that NVIDIA by ourselves can't do it alone, we need what we call extreme co-design. We need integration across the entire supply chain to make sure that we're delivering the most performance, but also the most efficiency. And so, for example, when you look at a lot of grids, especially across the US and even perhaps through Europe, there's 100 gigawatts of untapped potential. And so by leveraging some of the things we call DSX Flex, which allows us to curtail and ramp usage of data centers and different AI factories on demand, you can now tap into that 100 gigawatts of stranded power. So that's just one example of this notion that NVIDIA has to think well beyond our local solution in order to unlock, sort of the power that exists today. Because we talked about, sort of being able to build more and create more energy, but there's a lot of stranded energy that exists in the grid today. And so DSX was our approach to help describe that. And so, again, Jensen talked about it quite eloquently. But again, I think we're working very closely with partners like LITEON and others to bring that DSX platform to life, because it's not just compute, it's not just networking, it's all those other infrastructure components, it's tapping into the grid, it's tapping into other sources of energy. And so all of those elements together is really what's going to allow us to deliver against, again, this incredible demand that we're seeing for AI and AI factories.
Okay, as you know, AI era is a big switch for everyone. So difficult, so complicated. Before our panel, thank you for LITEON, my friends, guide me to understand your power supply solutions for. I asked some questions at that time. I say, who could be your competitor? Okay, then I chat with Dion and Sergio a little bit about competitiveness. I say in the industrial age, people get older, then you win the game. You are the winner. But in AI age, we need to co-work together. We need to co-create, co-share, go on the opportunities. But we are lucky. I say Taiwan is lucky. 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, I was in Seoul. I presented to something like 1,000 people, Korean people. I say, you guys are good. In the first quarter, your GDP growth was 3.6% YOY. You are the highest one among the 30 OECD countries. But we are better than you. 30.7% of Taiwan. They all watch me.
That's incredible.
But I have to say, thank you, NVIDIA.
and we will return the favor and say thank you to the Taiwan ecosystem, because like I mentioned before, we can't do it without the support of this ecosystem. And I think this is why COMPUTEX, why this show has become so important, is it celebrates that ecosystem. So thank you. Right. Thank you, yes.
Jensen emphasized again and again, Taiwan is the most important partner in the era of AI. And now I would like to invite my European friends. Speak frankly, you need to spend more time on Asia because our industry now supply most of the supply side in Asia, supply chain in Asia. But also I believe we need to think about the regional manufacturing system in Europe as well. What's your suggestion? And we can work together like a coexist, co-help each other.
Well, you said it. The world is becoming more and more complex. And if we look at the amount of energy that is available, I like what you say. We have already some pockets of energy that we can better use. And how to use them means also being more efficient in using them. And if we look at the complexity of the AI ecosystem, I see three key elements. On one hand, acceleration. You are driving the industry into further acceleration. I was talking just this morning to an industry partner who said that, listen, for a power supply unit, the design time for a power supply unit used to be 30 months, 30 months. Now it shrank to 6 months. So tremendous acceleration in the design cycles. On the other hand, we have architecture complexity, integration of renewables, 800-volt infrastructure, high voltage DC, etc., which drives a lot of architecture complexity. On the other hand, we have also technology complexity. Companies like Infineon and other power companies are introducing to the market new power semiconductors in order to deal with energy in a more efficient manner. Wide bandgap materials, for as an example, like silicon carbide and gallium nitride. So companies need to deal with these three elements of complexity: acceleration, architecture complexity, and technology complexity. And the only way to deal with all of this without scaling tremendously resources and complexity is by working together. I think that here the industry needs to change the paradigm, and all the players in the value chain need to focus on their core competencies, and adjacent players in the value chain need to establish very strong relationship. And we are kindly hosted by LITEON. Let me give you one example of how Infineon and LITEON work together. LITEON understands from yourself, from cloud service provider, what are the long-term needs, 18, 24 months from now. Then, of course, within boundaries of compliance, they share with us what is their roadmap. And we start preparing our own roadmap, our own products, in order to support the needs of the industry. And on top of it, we prepare reference designs, not aimed at, say, fishing into a LITEON pond, but aimed at really showing how to best use new technology, how to best use new topologies, and we hand them back into LITEON R&D by decreasing the R&D design cycle. I think that this kind of very strongly interconnected industry is what is needed in order to deal with these three elements of complexity.
When I visited your headquarters, I had a feeling, because of design complexity, I suppose Infineon cannot suppose all of the companies like 30, 40 before. Maybe you will focus 5 to 10. Am I right?
That's fair. That's a fair point.
It's fair, right? Yeah. So the world has changed dramatically. So extremely power, trace, and connectivity, they will be the future. So you must be the winner. Leo?
Yes. And
How to become the real winner?
Okay, because all the collaboration matters. There are two factors I would like to raise due to what we just discussed. First is how to collaborate to conquer the power issue, and later it is actually two fundamental happening sequence, the thermal issue. Because by all what we just talked about, it is all about how to build a proper data center, how to build a proper place to serve the server in a consistent way. And NVIDIA guides us through the DSX, the blueprint, because we know everything, every detail thing, from the very fundamental chemical, very fundamental structure, to the whole level, how piping goes and how the space goes. But somehow we need to do more on that one, because they are such heterogeneous machine nowadays. They are VR200 for training. They are CPU rack for, say, agentic AI purpose. So among all the things, power need to be managed and space need to be managed, and all the things are valuable because it is limited. So what we are going to do for all the sustainability is that we build up the very foundation of the AI where we build a server, but somehow we optimize it in a perspective of data center level. In the future, maybe in a government perspective. So we know that, okay, this is for a specific country's object, the purpose, what this country want to achieve. Say it is for a human welfare, say it is for a manufacturer, say it is for the transportation system. We can do bigger together, and that's why this tiny island can generate such a gigantic energy toward all over the world, because what happened in this island can be mimicked to another city, to another country. And we are so proud of being the very foundation hardware manufacturer and data center solution provider here at Giga Computing.
Yes, energy, and
Yes,
we
energy.
need energetic people.
Yes.
Am I right?
Exactly.
So, Anson, when you invite me as a moderator today, you take risk, you know that? I'm the boss of a media, right? Media don't want the rule. Media always try to break the rule.
That's right.
Right? So don't ask me to follow your rule. I have my questions. Want to know what? Okay, we still have time. I'd like to ask you one more question. I travel a lot, especially in Asia. So now I ask you questions. You don't need to worry about your company policy because it's nothing to do with your policy, just your personal comments.
Yeah.
Today, we need to improve the application quality in Asia especially. Which country is the best and which country we can follow to learn from them especially? Do you have any comment? Or which country has the best opportunity to develop AI?
Well, when you look at sort of what's happening in AI, like we talk about the 5-layer cake, there's models, which is one part of that. So that would be developing you see lots of evolving open source models like DeepSeek and Win and a number of others. But there's applications, and meaning like how can you apply AI to solve a business problem? I think there's no other country on the planet that has more opportunity to apply AI like Taiwan, in the sense that there's such a huge manufacturing opportunity in terms of there's incredible demand, incredible resource constraints, and AI is really going to be, a tool, we believe, to help, the Taiwan ecosystem meet the demand that we're all trying to supply. And so I think to answer your question, Taiwan is perfectly positioned to take full advantage, whether it's using agentic AI policies within manufacturing, whether it's using digital twinning, whether it's using a lot of the AI techniques that we talk about to actually improve the overall supply chain, right? And so again, this is one of those opportunities where, the output actually can feed into as an input to help make the whole process more efficient. So I think, to answer your question, I think Taiwan has an incredible opportunity to leverage AI to really, help us meet this incredible demand in front of us.
And let me take this question from a perspective of energy. We discussed energy is becoming more and more a very scarce resource. We need to handle it in a very efficient manner. And also beyond manufacturing, Taiwan has an incredible heritage of companies like LITEON who have hundreds of man years of design experience in power. And designing quickly, reliable, efficient power supplies is nothing the industry can learn over quarters or years. It takes decades to get to this level of proficiency. So also in terms of powering AI, providing AI with the right power infrastructure, dealing with this complexity, this acceleration, I think that Taiwan is a unique asset to power AI.
Thank you. Bill?
Okay, and actually it's the same here, because we are a great country. And actually, Giga Computing is trying to make all the things happen here. But say it's AI factory, we have our own AI factory are going to be announced this year, which are going to generate so many real-time simulation and all the optimization for the customer all over the world. And isn't that the purpose that Taiwan can contribute to the world? Because we have the power, we have the people, the intelligence, and we have the product. So everything gathered here, we can set up the best practice with NVIDIA and with all the vendors. And not to mention that the supply chain here are actually in a worldwide footage. So what we're going to do here is a great example, and to make other world, other country, other industry to do such paradigm shift from the previous maybe have CPU, have GPU scenario to a total AI world. And everything pays up in a very fast way. So you need to stay close to the very core essentials, the NVIDIA GPU and the power system. Because if you stay as close as to the core things, you can stand at the era of AI instead of just following what others have done. So everything is focused on how many power you input and eventually how many AI output that you can generate and eventually become the value for business, for country. That's my thinking.
Thank you. I believe in the AI era, the industry and the planet will be more diversified. And I believe and also support regional manufacturing sites. I personally, our government says Taiwan can help. And what means for help? Yeah, contribution to other countries. We need to think about that. We are good. But I believe we also need to try to build manufacturing site in Europe, not only America. Yeah. Right? But we have some indicators to understand. Do you know how much semiconductor importers last year, global, 1.2 trillion US dollars trading. Wow. And China contributes 37%. So China still is a manufacturing hub, consume most of the semiconductor, right? Taiwan is second one. Yep. We contribute 11%. How about Germany? Do you know that?
Well, what I know is that Infineon is the leader in power, and most of our power semiconductors are manufactured in Europe, but definitely we have also a strong footprint here in Asia.
Unfortunately, Germany only contributes 1.2%.
Which is all about us.
Japan is 1.7%, not like before. Even America is 3% only, because final assembly is not in the country, but it's unbalanced. I'm saying we need to think about the global balance, not only Taiwan, not only Korea, Japan. So we need to think about the kind of things, especially in the coming era.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
yeah, well, I would say in Europe we are further expanding our fabs. Just next month we will launch a new mega fab again in Germany. So we are starting to catch up, but definitely having a look at a global footprint is something we need to think very closely.
yes, maybe all of us, many of us are Taiwanese people, but maybe you didn't know. Only listed company of Taiwan, we hire 4 million employees globally from the electronic industry, 4 million. And 800,000 work in Taiwan. I counted before this year. Because smart manufacturing, I believe we can play a more important role. But we can duplicate the successful model in many countries. Then we can make the society more prosperity and get people more wealth. That is the mission we can try to for. So thank you for your participation. And next time, do you want to join again?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Thank you to the LITEON team for having us. This is incredible.
Thank you from my side. Thank you for LITEON for hosting us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, also thank you for an opportunity.
Let's give them a big hand.
谢谢。
Thank you.